Hey y'all, we're on a new episode of Aftermath here. We're doing lesson 40 for my algebra class today. This is a fairly simple lesson. It is in two parts. We're going to start off at the first part here, which is the quotient rule for exponents. It's a pretty simple concept, so we're not going to waste too much time on it. We've done product rule for exponents before, which is basically how we multiply the same variables that have exponents. We've said it was very simple to do. Pretty much the shortcut we take is that when we multiply, say, x to the fourth times x squared, the shortcut we take is we add the exponents, 4 plus 2, and we get x to the sixth. So we're doing the quotient rule today, which is dividing variables with exponents. And this one is very similar, but since we're doing the opposite, we're actually going to be subtracting our exponents here. So we have x to the sixth divided by x to the fourth. And what we do is, just like when we multiplied those variables, we added the exponents. Now we just subtract them. So we treat x to the sixth divided by x to the fourth just like x to the sixth minus the fourth. And that gives us x squared. So the quotient rule is really simple. All we do is we look at our exponents and we treat it kind of like we're subtracting those exponents. Now, the explanation that goes along with it, I'll break down real quick. X to the sixth literally means x times itself 6 times. So I could write it out like this. We're dividing that by x to the fourth, which means x times itself 4 times. And so what's happening is we're dividing x by itself several times. And every time we do that, those x's cancel out, and it leaves just x times x, which is x squared. We'll go ahead and look at a little bit more complicated example. All right, here's a little bit more complicated example, but we're going to do it the same way. We're going to simplify this expression. We're doing x to the negative fifth divided by, over here, x to the first. So, remember, when there's no exponent, it really is x to the first. So, we said that we simplify this. We find the shortcut by subtracting our exponents. That means we do negative 5 minus 1. And when we do negative 5 minus 1, that gives us negative 6, x to the negative 6. We also have y to the 6th divided by y squared. If we do 6 minus 2, that gives us y to the fourth. And then we also have z to the first divided by z to the negative third. And to do that one, we're doing 1 minus negative 3. 1 minus negative 3 is actually 1 plus 3. And so we get z to the fourth. X to the negative 6, y to the fourth, z to the fourth. Now, there's several different ways you could write that answer. This way is correct, but if we wanted to, say, have only positive exponents, we could rewrite it by moving x down into the denominator, and whenever we move from the numerator to the denominator, our exponent changes signs. So it becomes y to the fourth, z to the fourth, over x to the sixth. Now, either one of these answers are correct because they both mean the same thing. They're just two different ways of writing the same thing. We go with the second part of the lesson today. It's still involving negative exponents, but now it's the distributive property of rational expressions that contain negative exponents. We really don't do it any differently than we've been doing, though. The only difference is we have those negative exponents in there, but now we know how they work. So, we multiply out distributive property like we always would. Remember, this is a whole number. We're going to treat it as a fraction over 1. So we're going to do 4x to the negative second times y to the fourth, x squared. So we're going to have 4. We're going to have y to the fourth. And what's going to happen is x to the negative second times x squared, we treat as 2 minus 2. Because we're adding those two together, they're being multiplied. X to the negative second times x squared. Our shortcut is we add the exponent. If we add negative 2 and 2, they cancel out, and so there's no x at all. All of this is over. The only thing in the denominator is y to the fourth, because there is no denominator over here. So y to the fourth. We then have a minus sign, and we're going to do distributive property. 4 times 3 is 12. X to the negative second times x to the fourth. Again, we add the exponents. 4 plus negative 2 is 2. So we get 12x squared over. And then we have in the denominator y to the fourth times y to the negative second. If we combine 4 and negative 2, we get y squared. Now, there is one way I can simplify my answer. I have a number over itself, and so that cancels out. Y to the fourth over y to the fourth cancels out. Anything divided by itself is 1, and so that leaves just 4 for this part. So I'm just going to change it to that, and for my answer, I'm going to have 4 minus 12x squared over y squared. All right, hope this has been good. Hope it's been helpful. Any questions or comments, be sure to leave one for me. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.